But you know what?
Man, we got a lot of texts pouring in, not hockey related, not gold medal related, but related to the difficult subject we were just exploring in the wake of the news that Rondell Moore had died, we think, authorities think, due to a self-inflicted gunshot wound at the age of 25, the Viking receiver. So I will try to save some of those and get to them a little bit later in the show. Russo Radio is back from Italia, back from covering men's hockey and women's hockey as well. It sounds like, based on an earlier conversation today, that you're still kind of body clock-wise screwed up. You're getting up about 3:34 in the morning?
Yeah, I've been, it hasn't helped that I'm, falling asleep around 8 or 9. So,
yeah.
So, yeah, I got to try to get back on normal time. But whatever. I mean, it was an incredibly fun experience, and at least I'm sleeping, but yeah, just odd hours.
Well, let's get it out of the way early, because for a while, Guardsy and I, we were worried that there was some sort of a Russo schism that had developed because we couldn't get you on. Now, I knew a lot of times the problem was the games were literally going on that you were covering while we were on the air, but we were looking at each other like, man, what do we do? What do we do to Russo? So there wasn't any bad blood, was there? There was no schism? Because if there is, I'd rather get it out in the open right now.
I know why you would think that. I mean, I was even doing Fallness once, so when
for like an hour.
When I went on Fallness' show, you knew that something might be wrong.
Well, yeah, there it is.
Yeah, honestly, it was the time.
Yeah.
Because the United States played 5 9:10 p.m. games,
Yes.
which means 10:10 back here.
Yeah.
So it just, it just became. Or excuse me, it was 2:10 back here. So essentially, when you were coming on the air,
yeah, pretty much,
we were, in the middle of the second period. So it just became really tough with times, and then we had 3 games a day at Santa Julia, so it was just back to back to back. So the times that just worked out were kind of PA's time slot, and that Saturday show with Fallness.
Well, it's a ratings giant. There's no question about that. Here's your toss-up question. This comes from Alan in Afton, and it kind of opens the door for you to go a number of different directions. Will you ask Russo who outperformed expectations more, the men's team or the women's team? And secondly, did the Wild players move up the ranks amongst the NHL best on the basis of performances in Italy?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the men's team. I mean, the women's team, I think I talked to you because I got to cover the rivalry series in November and December. I think I talked to you going into the Olympics that they were unbelievable, and I just didn't see how all of a sudden, the other nations that haven't even come close to catching up to Canada, United States, could outplay the Americans. But to Canada, because, I mean, going into that gold medal game, the United States had beaten them 7 times in a row. I covered 4 of them. They were all blowouts. Going into that gold medal game, the United States women were 6-0 in the tournament, 5 straight shutouts, outscoring teams 31-1. I give Canada a ton of credit, though, in that gold medal game. They came to play. The United States had a fight on its hand and had to rally back, and obviously Hillary Knight scored the amazing goal, and then Megan Keller in overtime. But, to me, it was expected that they were going to win gold. They were the favorite going in. United States wasn't favored in the men's tournament, and they did have the easier group. But what that did get them was a quarterfinal date with Sweden, which could have easily been a gold medal game. And I think that was a huge, not only win for them for obvious reasons, because they go home if they don't win that game, but I think it got them battle tested. And so I really, think that helped them against Slovakia and helped them really against Canada. Obviously, Hellebuck was sensational, but they defended well. They killed penalties. They won draws, and they earned that gold medal. So both teams, I mean, just absolute awesome teams to cover. In terms of the Wild players, I think everybody in the world knows how good a Quinn Hughes is. But yeah, I totally think that, now outside this marketplace, people realize how good Matt Boldy and Brock Faber are. And I thought Faber was exceptional throughout the tournament, especially on the penalty kill. And Boldy obviously scored a couple of huge goals and was on the line with Austin Matthews and Jake Ensel that just got better as the tournament went along. So, really, really quality play from all three Wild Americans.
What, in your mind, in terms of the U.S. men's performance, what surprised you the most, if anything? I mean, what part of their play, maybe either collectively or individually, did I'm sure you thought they were going to contend or they were in it, but what caught your eye the most, or what maybe even surprised you a little bit?
The way they defended, and this is what Bill Guerin tried to create going into the tournament. Obviously, I think we all knew that their blue line was as good as it got in the tournament and probably better than every team out there. But their forwards bought into checking, and I think a lot of it was the identity they brought with guys like Vincent Trocheck and Brock Nelson and JT Miller. But then you had guys like Jack Hughes and Tage Thompson and players that aren't known to be checkers that came in there and checked, and they just wound up being such a defensive juggernaut. Obviously, Hellebuck was outstanding. The only game they gave up more than 2 goals was the game that Jeremy Swayman started. So they just were great throughout. I think gave up 10 goals in the entire tournament. They just were awesome that way. That was the one thing. In terms of individually, I think Jack Hughes was the one that really surprised me because he came in, hurt, had the groin injury, hasn't been great this year for the Devils. Obviously had the cut hand after the accident that he had at the team party that made him miss, basically a couple months. But he started on the fourth line and just earned his way up the lineup and wound up, combining with his brother for 15 points. So I thought Jack was just outstanding.
Give us a sense of the atmosphere in the building. I want to talk about the Olympic atmosphere at large, but within the building, especially, let's say, in the minutes before the gold medal game and as the game ensued, it certainly looked on TV as if the atmospherics were terrific. What was it like in the building?
Yeah, first of all, for as much concern as we had about the building going into the
yes.
Olympics and not being built, it was such a great arena. Really easy to get around, really easy to work in, really easy for a fan to have great sight lines at any point. Seats are comfortable. I mean, everything about it was awesome. And it was your typical Olympic atmosphere for a hockey game. Just, love of country by both teams that were playing. Banners, painted faces, cheers, the wave. It was outstanding. And the one thing I'll say too is everybody got along. Like there was no booing the United States. There was no booing other countries. Obviously you had the chants, the back and forth, the USA, Canada, whatever. But when I covered the Four Nations, every time the anthem was sung, the U.S. anthem, it was booed in Canada to the point that when we got to Boston, it wound up being vice versa. And a lot of that was just the atmosphere at the time. But there was none of that this time. Now, part of it is because they don't play anthems before any of the games.
Right.
Those are reserved for when you medal, you hear your anthem if you win gold. So that was definitely part of it. But there was none of that. We were really on the lookout when the United States played Denmark if there was going to be a lot of protests or signs regarding, the whole Greenland thing that's going on right now. And there was none of that even for that game. So I think from that standpoint, it was just awesome that the display was on the ice and just a lot of fun. And really what was a non-compelling tournament up until the quarterfinals, it just became an incredible last 3 games of the quarters, the semis, and then obviously the gold medal game. Before that wasn't very good. Not a lot of comebacks,
right,
not a lot of drama, not a lot of upsets. But once that Finland-Switzerland game happened, it was like bang, bang, bang. It was just the rest of the tournament was just incredible.
How about outside? Again, you were probably in the building a lot, but you got to get there.
Yeah.
You got to be in, the village, whatever the case may be. Again, the pictures on NBC were beautiful, very, scenic, very aesthetically pleasing. It's not a tough place to look good, right? But what was it? What did you sense in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, Milan grew on me. It was just such a fun city, clean, just a lot of places to go and have fun. Going around the Duomo area where, pretty much was the area where you had the broadcasting, obviously there with the NBC tower and things like that. It was the place to go if you were a fan. They had the giant store there. The most important thing, Starbucks Roastery is right there. I hung out there a couple times. It was just a really cool atmosphere. The one thing I will say with, most of the events, most of the sports going on in two different places up the mountain, the only three things in Milan itself, besides the main media center, was speed skating, figure skating, hockey. So every other event, sport was elsewhere. So you just didn't get that Olympic atmosphere, Olympic spirit. You wouldn't even know what was going on at times. There wasn't a lot of signage at all.
Right.
So that was the one thing I was surprised when I remember going to Vancouver, and it was everywhere. You knew the Olympics was going on. And obviously Whistler isn't close, but this thing just really felt like there were two different Olympics. Like the curling and all the snow sports might as well have been in another country for as far as we do down in Milan.
I want to get to some wild stuff because, of course, the season resumes for them tonight where you are. And, we'll get where Guerin is. You're not there, right? You're not in.
Yeah, no, my colleague Joe.
That's what I thought. Joe was there. Yeah, Guerin is obviously there.
I'll be on the next trip, the trade deadline trip.
There you go. Oh, that'll be juicy for sure. We're going to get to all that in a minute. Do you want to weigh in on any of the blowback to what took place in the locker room? Patel there, swigging whatever he was swigging, and then the phone being held up, and the president's talking, and the players have gotten ripped for laughing at the stupid comment from the president, and it's sort of kind of ballooned from there. Anything you start or end anywhere you want on this particular subject. Give it whatever you think it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, after the game, Mike Sullivan, the coach of the United States, was asked a quick question in the post-game press conference that asked if Donald Trump called the room, and he basically said yes. And so we all kind of wrote it. None of us really knew, obviously, what the subject was. And the only thing that was very clear is that they made it, Austin Matthews inferred a couple times that their travel plans were going to be changed. And we had already known, or I had already known, that their flight to New York was going to be rerouted to Miami. So I knew that couldn't have been what he was talking about. The storms were in the Northeast, so they went down to Miami. So I knew there had to be something else. So, I just figured that they were invited to the White House, and that we just had to figure it out. And then a couple hours after the game, that's when the video started coming out that showed that Kash Patel was in the locker room partying with the players, and on his cell phone, which I actually thought was pretty cool, it said a big DT, and there was Donald Trump on a normal cell phone with his normal name just sitting on a cell phone talking to the team. And so I retweeted the video because it was fascinating. One, the congratulations, one, him calling out Hellebuck, but the obvious begrudging invite to the women's team, and then the joke afterwards. I wasn't even really paying attention to the quote-unquote laugh. What I heard, and maybe this is the difference between me and people that are always looking for controversy, is what I heard was two players, and it turns out from talking to Taylor Heise, Dylan Larkin and Brock Nelson, screaming excitedly 2 for 2 because they both won gold medals. And I heard Matt Tkachuk when the president said we're going to invite the women's team, I heard him say absolutely. And then I heard the joke, and that's when it was obvious that he was kind of being, sarcastic there. And then we get back, and it just seemed to blow up from there, where it just now, instead of the joke being the story, it was the fact that the men's team, were being misogynistic and things like that. And so my editors assigned me yesterday to go to the Minnesota Frost to see if they felt that way. And they obviously have 6 gold medalists, talked to 4 of them with other reporters. And the one thing that was pretty common is with all of them is that they felt the love and support from the men's team in their interactions throughout the tournament. They were at the Olympic Village in the same dorm room. They had the same common area. They hung out a lot. They had the same training room. The men's team went to a lot of the women's games. The women's team went to a lot of men's games. There's relationships, too, with a lot of these players. I did a daily diary with Charlie McAvoy, who's just super excited to see the women win because he knew 5 of those athletes on that team because his sister played with them. So, there was, to me, I saw this interaction, and to me that speaks louder than being caught off guard with a joke by the president and being in this euphoric state and just getting caught up in the moment. And what the women on the Frost, affirmed is that's how they felt. And so the one thing is that they don't want it to overshadow what they accomplished during this whole thing. And I don't think it is. I think now that everybody is back with their NHL teams, and every reporter in the country that covered an American player on their teams have now asked these players. Hopefully, everybody just moves on, us included, reporters, and let both women and men's team really, have elation in what they accomplished, which was something pretty special. Both, a double gold medal for both the men's and women's hockey teams in the United States for the first time ever.
That's very well put. I think, you know how this business works. We don't have video of all those interactions, that you're referring to between members of the two teams, that might nuance the story a little bit or muddy the waters on this. We got this one, piece of video. And by God, we got him. We got him again, and we're going to nail him. We're going to nail him to the wall. And because it's very compact, right? It's just a few seconds, and it's right in front of our faces. And the other stuff's harder to get because it's not been documented the same way or can't be documented the same way. And it tells it very clearly, because I certainly trust you, at the very least, a much more complicated story. But that doesn't fit in the soundbite world, right?
No,
That's
I know.
not enough.
And everybody, you and I have had this discussion so many times. Like, people out there are always just, they want to get, it's like there's a scene in Indian Summer, a movie that I absolutely love, where a widow goes to the summer camp for a reunion, and she is sad the entire time. And one of the characters, I think it was Bill Paxton, says to her, how come you came? And she goes, because I wanted to be sad, and now I'm sad. And that to me is what people online do all the time. It's like they want to get offended every day. I look at some of these timelines that come after you or go after other people, and their entire timeline by the minute. I mean, imagine that existence is just trying to get angry over something. And it's like, as some people have said to me, they'll move on to the next thing the next day. But I know a lot of these players, and they're good people, and they got caught up in this euphoric moment where where you're just amazed that you just won a gold medal. The president of the United States is on the telephone, and you're as Britta Krul said yesterday, judging from her locker room, you're liable to laugh at anything. And who of us has not laughed at an inappropriate joke at times in our life? And and there are people just going after like Matt Boldy and Brock Faber and Quinn Hughes for all this stuff, and I'm just like, have you ever, just read 1 second about Brock Faber's life and the love he has for his two sisters, one that is special needs. And then you're going to sit there and think that Brock Faber has no respect for the women's team. Everybody just worry about yourself, man. And I don't understand it. And I knew that I must have done a good job yesterday because I had both the right side of the aisle and the left side of the aisle calling me out yesterday. Like, somebody called me MAGA online.
Welcome to our world, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I just think we all live in a world where just online all the time, it's so bad for our mental health. And they're just, it's just truly unbelievable that there are just people out there that just sit there on a minute by minute basis reading just this stuff. And we know how Twitter works. It feeds your algorithm to the point that you're only seeing things that are going to piss you off or engage you. And it just has created this world where we all want to just get offended and cancel others. And this is the perfect situation where, a stupid laugh for 1 second of something that we probably shouldn't even known happened has now overshadowed the incredible success and victories of two hockey teams.
One of the most remarkable aspects of this story, and it occurred to me as you're talking to players from the women's team, okay, you're trying to do your due diligence in your reporting, giving them a chance to say whatever they want to say, right, on this subject, because that's fair game. That's you doing your job. Here's what I've heard today from some of those comments, which have been pretty positive. I think there's been some acknowledgement, okay, yeah, there was a blip there, it was annoying, whatever, but here's the rest of the story. It's being dismissed because some people want to dismiss it. You know why? Because it's not what they want to hear. And
exactly.
it's like, here's what I'm hearing. Well, they're the women are being nice, and that's big of them. But, and I'm thinking, is there anything more patronizing to say to the women than, we don't really trust what you're saying? You must just be saying that because you feel like you want to say, is it possible we might want to take them at their word? Is that among the possibilities we need to discuss?
Exactly. And throughout the tournament, because I was there, I got to witness the interactions that both teams had for each other and the support and the respect. And so I knew essentially going to cross practice what I was going to hear from these players yesterday, because I had seen it and I witnessed it. And then you put it out there and you still have people coming at you saying that you're making excuses for them. To me, if they are not offended, that's all that matters. And it's move on, to think that Quinn and Jack Hughes, whose mom was part of the USA hockey women's team and was a huge reason why they won gold, to think that they don't respect those athletes is just absurd. And it's all based on a little laugh where players were in a euphoric locker room drinking, and they were caught off guard by this joke. But if you hear right before the joke, when Matthew Tkachuk and Dylan Larkin and Brock Nelson are agreeing that the women should go with them to the White House, that just shows you actually what their heart is. And then obviously the joke is dropped. They laugh. They're caught off guard by it. I don't think anybody expects, except the perfect people on X, that 20 athletes are going to say, "Excuse me, Mr. President, that joke was inappropriate," and then hang up on them. I mean, let's be in real life here. And it's just, it's crazy to me that this has become the controversy it has. But man, it is unbelievable.
Well,
but that's what you're getting in today's day and age. And, we're divided in so many ways, and people just want to believe, what they want and believe that everybody else should believe the way that they believe.
I don't know if you got this quote, but I've heard it before from other women athletes that say one of the misconceptions here is that we need to be protected. We're going to go to pieces if somebody says something that is disparaging, wherever the case may be. That in itself is so demeaning and patronizing. I'm guessing what most of these players are saying is, we want to revel in what we did. That's got to be the. Yeah. So we may have our opinions, and we may not have loved it, and I don't blame them if they wouldn't have necessarily. But that the idea that that we need to protect them because they're these fragile, delicate flowers, that is to me demeaning and patronizing. These are pretty accomplished individuals who I'm guessing are kind of at some point going on, okay, enough. Let's just get back to the fact that we want to celebrate what we did.
Yeah, no, and you're right. I mean, I can't imagine that any of them love to hear what the president said.
No, that part absolutely, and shouldn't.
But what I agree with you on is that we have to go back to just celebrating what this team did. They were an absolute wagon, as dominant a hockey team as I've ever seen, ever. None of those teams, including Canada in the group stage, could do anything about their dominance. And then in the gold medal game, when they had to play a real hockey game and were being challenged, they got incredible goaltending. Exactly. They defended well, they made plays, and they rallied back in that game. And earned a gold medal after dominating, but yet one where they had to be tested and overcome adversity. And so it made for the perfect conclusion of a incredible run for this team, an incredible quad where they won a world championship last year as well. And so that is what we should be talking about. And the other thing about the women's program right now is I don't see how anybody is going to catch up to them, because they have so many incredibly good, young, fast, talented athletes that are going to be part of this program for years and years and years to come, that Canada better be worried on how they're going to catch up. One
last thought on that, and you raised it. I mean, they going into the gold medal game, they've outscored the opposition 31-1. And so it feels like this is going to be a coronation, but it might not be particularly compelling, right? If it continues to go the way you expect. Yep. And it was strictly, I think, by the way they won, that in fact Canada did join the battle, and Canada did have them on their heels. You wrote about this, that you didn't even recognize the U.S. team early. That's added to the drama, because then there was drama. They could actually lose this game, right? And to me, that's what elevated it to the place ultimately it got to.
Yeah, it was a totally uncompelling, it just was not a lot of drama in those early games. And Canada dominated their competition. The United States dominated their competition, including Canada. And I think that was the biggest shock that I had covering the women's tournament, is that these other countries, Finland, Sweden, Switzerland, they're not even on the same planet as Canada and the United States. And so if they don't catch up, the future of women's hockey on the international level is going to just continue to be United States, Canada for the rest of the time.
Right.
And they're the only two teams that have won golds in these type of things, in these type of events. But I will tell you, if it wasn't for that gold medal game and seeing the battle that Canada put forth and the fact that the United States overcame it, it would have been the easiest run to a gold medal maybe ever.
Exactly. Yep.
In any sport.
Yep.
And it would not have been the most compelling thing. So, I loved every second of that game. Because, the United States looked so nervous early in that game, and they just slowly clawed their way back into that game. And then to have Hillary Knight, who's in her final of 5 Olympics, score the tying goal, and just instead of realizing what a storybook ending of her Olympic career this is going to be, she just goes into the locker room and says, who's going to be the hero? And doesn't even worry about herself, doesn't even think like, wow, look what I just did. And then she goes out there, and obviously they come out and score a huge goal on a high Zeta Keller masterpiece. So it was pretty sweet.
Tremendous story. Your coverage was outstanding, even by your standards. It's very clear you worked your butt off, but there was great stuff. That you guys covered that thing like a blanket. Quickly, we'll have time to get into the Wild in more detail, certainly next week and moving forward. But it's time. The season, I think, technically resumed yesterday in the league, but this is the first Wild game back tonight. So, what are we looking for right off the bat? I mean, it's obviously a great opponent. I mean, it's a game that gets your attention right out of the break, even though all of the discussion has been about the Olympics. This is a pretty good way to reintroduce the National Hockey League to this market, the Wild against the Lanch.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was really interesting yesterday in Utah. Colorado won the game, and they held McKinnon out, but Brock Nelson did play, and he scored his 30th goal of the year. So it's a second of a back-to-back the Wild, had the benefit on with Colorado playing last night. But when you don't play for 3 weeks, the fact that Colorado has gotten a game under its belt actually probably is an advantage for them. The one thing I'll tell you is that I'll be looking for tonight is how the heck the Matt Boldy and Brock Faber and Quinn Hughes look.
Yeah.
This morning, for 30 minutes, if that, they were on the ice for the first time since Sunday's gold medal game. I can't imagine they found ice partying in Miami or Washington, D.C. So I will be really interested in how they're playing, their stamina after a fun couple days. And, if you're a Wild fan, you better hope that doesn't lead to like groin injuries or things like that. But, look, this is going to be a big game for them, right? Colorado is now 7 points up on them. Dallas is a point over the Wild. And if the Wild want to figure out a way to get home ice against the Dallas Stars or even win this conference, they've got to eat into these games against the Avalanche, and they have 2 in the next 8 days. So it's 2 in the next, I think, 9 or 10 days,
right.
Excuse me. These are big games, and I think they're mostly healthy. Kaprizov got 3 weeks off to rest.
There you go. He's got to be fresh.
They've got to get themselves right back into playing the way they did, 3 weeks ago.
Beautiful. Welcome back. Thanks for the time as always. We'll chat next week. Thanks, Russo.
Absolutely. See you, Dan.
Appreciate
Take
you.
Care.
Russo Radio helping us out as only he can do. I guess we'll find out how the inbox is going. Do we have? We kind of put it together late. Are we in decent shape?
Very
Great
decent.
shape? Okay, so we'll be able
Very decent.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no reason to call an
We got a
audible or
couple
anything?
quick segments to do it.
Okay, good. Let's do it. We're a little behind, but we'll get caught up and get some inbox stuff going and get to maybe some text later between 6 and 6:30 as well. Don't forget Wild Avalanche tonight right here on FM 100.3, The Fan. start the world famous music anytime.
Dan's inbox.
Letters. Oh, we get letters. We get your letters
Every day.
Every Thursday, right around 4:30, except today, Thursday at 5:30. Why not? Dear Dr. Dan, out here on the West Coast, it's a long day until tip. I happen to be listening on the iHeartRadio app to your conversation with B. Guerin, and I'm wondering, these Aura rings that he was talking about, any chance we could get some of those shipped to Intuit Dome by 9 o'clock tonight? C. Finch.
Wow.
C. Finch.
That would be an interesting way for us, maybe the head coach, to anticipate whose mood is off for tonight.
It's perfect.
I play them fewer minutes.
It's perfect.
I mix in, I check a couple of the other rings. I go, let's up the minutes there. It might work. You're exactly right, because
they track everything.
They do track everything. And then for those who didn't hear it with Guerin, he said, I got one of those rings, and the entire day, or the entire game, gold medal game, it showed, however it evaluates major stress, just short of like heart attack.
Yeah.
That was his number. That's what it was calculating to his
point. It was
point
in the stress level all day.
He never had any point where he felt anything but incredibly nervous. I did think, by the way, it was interesting to hear him say, all right, I figure I get over there. I've done my job already, right? I've fashioned the roster. We got the coaches in place. We've done all the prepping. All the planning for, the day's schedule is all there. So now I take a step back and let everybody do their jobs, and I just got to detach a little bit. And he said that lasted exactly one day.
That was brilliant.
And then day two, wait a minute, that's not me. I got to be in the middle of everything. I don't have to cause trouble, but I got to be in the middle of everything. And so he was true to himself and suddenly said, I'm going to be down there. I'm going to be around people. I'm going to be watching things. That doesn't mean I have to second guess every coaching decision, every line decision, whatever the case may be. But I thought that might have been the highlight of the interview.
On the Wolves, which you can hear on the Timberwolves channel of your iHeartRadio app a little bit later tonight, Kawhi Leonard and John Collins are both out tonight for the Clippers. Kay Leonard, obviously an important piece for the Clippers.
So it's going to be a schedule loss for us, is what you're saying.
Well, so Johnny Athletic, though, retweets that news a minute ago and says, big break for the Wolves, but they often don't treat it as such.
Yeah.
That's just the perfect way to say it.
I don't even know who else is left on the Clippers.
I don't know.
Not very many.
No, I don't know. So anyway.
Your guy, James Harden, by the way, James Harden playing great for Cleveland, but then he ends up with they're calling it is it a displaced fracture where he's day to day, and it's on his right hand, not his left hand. I think it's a thumb, isn't it?
It sounds right. I'll double check during the break.
It may have been a finger. I don't remember. He's been playing great, but obviously he's gone from the Clippers on the basis of that deal. So it is a great opportunity, and we'll see what we make of it tonight. We'll see what the Wolves Aura rings can a team make it mandatory for players to wear an Aura ring?
NBA teams probably can't. It probably has to be collectively bargained. College teams could.
Wonder how
they
much
wear those catapult vests all the time to know how fast you're moving and running.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
They check your body battery.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody does it.
It's all science now.
So they should do that.
Aura rings, that's next.
Aura rings.
Yeah.
And like I said before, the fans should also get a readout like 90 minutes before. When the team comes for their first initial warm-ups and stretching and all their individual work, the Timberwolves app should send an alert like it does the day after somebody misses 2 free throws and you get free Chick-fil-A. And they say, go get your free sandwich because we're bricking for chicken here. It should say Aura ring levels for all the players.
Yes.
And you can decide, do I want to go?
Yeah,
do I want to buy these tickets? Like, that should be part of the Timberwolves app. Tell your guy Caldwell.
Full disclosure, for like you said, what do we talk about all the time? Full transparency.
Transparency.
That would be the ultimate in transparency. And then what, the ticket prices then also are adjusted by that?
I think they should be.
Yeah.
If they want to know everything about us.
It could get very complicated, but...
Caldwell straight up says, we want to learn more about our fans, which means we want to know how you're going to spend every single last cent you have to come watch our team. It's only fair that we should get something in that transaction. We should know how our players are feeling before we go to Target Center.
How expensive would it be for the Wolves to have an Aura ring night where every fan gets his or her own Aura ring.
Well, actually, they should get one to know how the fans are feeling at various times.
Exactly. That's what they say they want to know.
When someone blows by Julius Randle for the ninth time, or Naz Reid's complaining about the officials, or Rudy Gobert's got another flagrant one. We've got plenty more to get to. We do need to stay on Sky. I don't want to get too far behind this segment.
For sure.
JG at KFAN.com if you'd like to get into segment 2 of Dr. Dan's Inbox.
Part 2 of this particular edition of Dr. Dan's Inbox, back for the second consecutive week. I'm guessing it'll be on hiatus next week because you'll be on conference tournament duty a week from now, correct?
Yes. I'll either be calling a game or on the way to call a game in Indy. The Gophers could be seated anywhere from number 4 to number 6, I believe, depending on what happens.
Do you already have your reservations at St. Elmo's?
No, but you know who I heard from that wants to possibly get a drink there?
Who?
Is Lynx assistant coach El Whalen.
Is that right?
Maybe doing some scouting next week in Indy.
Oh, I love it. That's great.
So we'll see. We'll see if it works out time-wise or whatever. But yeah, I'll go. I'll play the role. St. Elmo's is good.
I think it is good, yeah.
And it's a cool old place.
It is. It's got some tradition to it.
We don't need to have every event in the history of mankind there.
That's another. I think that's maybe the number one reason everything is there.
Could be.
Anyway, you were saying?
It's time for Dr. Dan's Inbox.
Letters. Oh, we get letters. We get your letters every day.
Dear Dr. Dan, when I first got traded, I wasn't quite sure what the future would hold. Granted, my new boss traded M. Rossi, L. Ogren, and Z. Buyam for me, as well as a first-round pick. That is what we call, Dr. Dan, a haul. And I know I would feel a little bit guilty leaving in a year. But business is business. I know B. Guerin's goal was to make Minnesota feel like a place both myself and my brothers, especially Jay Hughes, could call home. I wasn't falling for it then, but coming back with a gold medal around my neck is making me think that maybe my new boss knows how to put together a winner. What do you think, Dr. Dan? Am I letting my Olympic emotions get the best of me? Was this B. Guerin's plan all along? Is he trying to build a mini version of the gold medal team right here in Minnesota? Regards, Q. Hughes.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, you know that that's the fantasy of your average Minnesota Wild fan, M. Wild fan, who might have written that letter on Q. Hughes' behalf, correct? I mean, that's the bit, right? We're hoping this is just the start. This is the old omen that opens the door to all kinds of possibilities, right? And, you know, Louis is among those who thinks that it's quite possible that that door might be open. So we'll see. It might not be immediately, he said, but we'll see. We didn't have time to get into this with Guerin today, but, you know, we will. Well, may not have time because the trade deadline, is it next week? Yeah, I think it is.
March 6th, I think we came up with.
So, you know, it's right around the corner now, but you got to believe that Guerin is a rambler gambler anyway, okay? And he's aggressive. And he's feeling it right now. So he'll tell you, you know, what he's obligated to say, which is, well, I'm not going to do anything silly. It doesn't matter if the adrenaline's going or I feel like, you know, I'm on a hot streak. But human nature being what it is with Bill Guerin, you know and I know, he wants to put 2 and 2 together. Even if they're 2 completely different deals, he wants to do that. So what will it lead to? I have no idea. I mean, I can't believe when it comes to Minnesota that this hurts the possibility that he feels further intrigued about the possibility of, you know, extending the deal and staying here long term, right? Working with Guerin, we're seeing what Guerin put together. Living in the same building as Kay Kaprizov. Yes. Going to B Sushi. What other talent that was on the Olympic roster that's part of the Wild team as well. So, yeah, stay tuned.
It's time for Dr. Dan's Inbox.
Letters. Oh, we get letters.
Dear Dr. Dan, I saw that R. Lewis was scratched from today's M Twins game out of an abundance of caution after he experienced tightness in his right side after running the bases pregame. Interestingly enough, I was scratched from service after a minor lower body injury in 2006 in Fallujah, Iraq, out of an abundance of caution. This from Jay Creasel.
Oh, I missed this.
Yeah, R. Lewis, abundance of caution.
Didn't he hit a home run in his first at bat?
He hit a dinger. Yeah. He hit a dinger.
And now he's hurt again, eh?
Apparently.
Abundance of caution.
Abundance of caution.
Did I also read he's got a private hitting coach?
Yes, he does.
I didn't know. So how does that work? You can do that?
Yeah, you do it in the off season.
Oh, I see.
And then I think
So it's not like he gets to be around all the time, or
it's not
does
like
he?
when Z Parisi brought A.
Yeah,
Oates
remember
into
that.
practice. It's not like that.
Remember
for those
that?
old enough I certainly do.
Oh, those are the days, weren't they? Those are the salad days.
It's not
for
quite
sure.
like that, but I think he is working then in concert with the actual hitting coach,
Yeah.
saying, hey, here's what we worked on. Which, by the way, I think is a good thing. I think it's good to. I don't like when coaches get territorial and are like, hey, this is my guy. I see it all the time in kids' sport. I saw it growing up with my own. I like when it's a collaborative effort.
There's limits, though.
Sure.
As the Parisi story, I think, laid out.
There's
because that was a sign.
They're working on the power play.
Well, yeah, exactly. And that was sort of a sign of, we think we run this team. And that's not a healthy look for any organization. It wouldn't be for an organization run by Bill Guerin, and ultimately he made that point abundantly clear by moving he and Suter out of here. But Dr. Dan has got to admit something. I feel as disconnected from the Twins as I ever have. I don't even care to gain knowledge right now. And I know that's not something you're supposed to admit, in drive time radio at a sports station, but I just, all the spring trainings out, you get to learn about this and about this. None of it interests me right now. Zero of it interests me. And eventually that'll change when I'm not as distracted by other things. But as long as we've got other good distractions, like a Winter Olympics just wrapping up and still worthy of celebration, and, the Wild back in action and the Wolves back in action, maybe All-Star break. Maybe All-Star break for me on the Twins.
It's time for Dr.
That's soon?
Dan's
And then you go for a week, and then it's Vikings training camp.
That's it.
Actually, I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Let's get that in writing. Dear Dr. Dan, I'm not usually in the mood for your show, but happened to catch a segment the other day. You were going on and on and on and on about coaches wearing suits and how it oozes professionalism and warrants respect. Maybe a suit helps some amateur coach like P. Riley look like a winner, but I personally don't see it. And my squad has been conference runner-up twice in a row. Suits are overrated, Dr. Dan. In fact, when G. Rosas fired your guy, R. Saunders, he told me, pack your passport and your Lululemon tracksuit. You're headed up north to Minneapolis. It is north, I checked, to casually coach the Timberwolves. I haven't worn a suit once since, and I'm the best coach your bipolar franchise has ever seen. But that's all I am, a simple coach, Dr. Dan. It's not a job interview. P.S. What would you even wear to a job interview? I wouldn't know. C. Finch.
Well, I would love to ask C. Finch that question. Because is C. Finch the type, and maybe he's already answered it with PA, that he feels far more comfortable in this attire? He looks good in it. I will grant you, he wears it well. He's a good-looking guy, right? He's got the great head of hair. He's got more glasses, different kinds of glasses than I do.
He does.
Every day, every time in post game, it's a new pair of glasses.
He's an iBobs guy.
Oh, is he?
I don't know. I just know that you know
I'm
iBobs.
a big iBobs guy.
I know
yeah.
you are. Yeah.
So, but maybe we come to find out he'd be perfectly fine getting the $3,000 suits back out. If he can get the right sponsorships and so forth. I don't know. I actually think he does look good, but I still think the P. Riley point remains, and I'm not holding my breath that anything significant is going to take place there. But I think it would be a good concept to introduce as we try to make this world a little bit, maybe a little more formal, whether it's at the State of the Union address or sidelines of an NBA game. Might not be all bad for us. Decorum might not be, it wouldn't necessarily bring us together, but it might slow things down a little bit and create a little bit more civility.
Ready for some walk-offs?
Yeah, let's do it.
We have a walk-off where I wish we were done at 6:30, but we're going to have to come back.
Okay.
It's time for Dr.
God.
Dan's Inbox.
You're unbelievable.
Oh, we get letters. We get your letters every
Dear
day.
Dr. Dan, not sure if I shared my newest test this year. We are playing Freebird while having the players race a bald eagle. It's called the patriotism test, and some have excelled. I know that Jay McCarthy, 9, would have been near the top. That from M. Wexler. Anything you want to add?
No,
Patriotism
Freebird,
test?
yeah. We haven't even talked about the whole Freebird thing, right? That became kind of the anthem.
It's been the anthem, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great song.
It is. It's a terrific song.
Dear Doc, we'd play it if we could. Dear Dr. Dan, I had a bunch of missed calls on my phone when I got back to the States from this number. I just have one question. New phone, who dissed? That from M. Russo. Dear Dr. Dan, I'm tired. That from T. Constitution.
T.
As in the.
I see. Okay.
And Dear Dr. Dan.
Thank you for the translation.
Dear Dr. Dan.
Is this it?
Dude, did you see how much beer we had? And it went all night. Do you know where the hottest DJs in Milan play? I do. It was a rager, man. And I'm not even an athlete, but I was keeping up. Did you see I have DT's cell? I do. And now so does the entire team. They can call whenever. Don't worry. We'll get the women into the White House. They like beer, right? It was epic. P.S. I think crime is down too. And it's not like they invited me in. I have keys to almost everywhere. We got a lot of letters from this individual, but I thought we would read this one from K. Patel.
Why do you like to do it to me? That's the
Will you
question.
close the text line?
I'm going to reclose it. I've got a few saved, but I'm not going to scroll down from the ones I have saved. That's my promise between now and 6:30. Man. Of a very busy and controversial program today. Barrero and Garzi with you till 6:30 tonight. Tomorrow's Friday, right? So I'm assuming, is it the return of Ben Gessling this week
It is.
or not?
I talked to him earlier this week. He's back from the combine as well, so he'll give us his thoughts and feelings.
Outstanding. And we expect Lavelle, who sent a text to both of us earlier when we were talking about the big news out of the Tampa airport. In which they claimed they were going to start. They want to encourage the notion of banning passengers from wearing PJs.
Yes.
They've already banned Crocs, is the way they put it. And Lavelle, being the literalist, the Twitteralist that he is, wanted to know how they actually make that determination on the Crocs. Do you think he really believes that if you wear Crocs, you're not allowed into the airport terminal?
Maybe he does. We'll have to ask him tomorrow.
We'll ask him tomorrow because I almost felt like maybe he believed it. Because I don't really think you could prohibit it. I think the point they're trying to make is to
class it up.
Yeah, class it up a little bit, and maybe it'll spread.
We did get a funny text earlier to the Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line 64686. You were wondering if AI could eventually take over.
Oh yes,
the talk show host role.
Yeah.
The texter said, for the tasteless box of mashed potatoes, easily. For you, with enough information, and
it could be done.
The more that you talk to AI, the more it learns about you. You can do it. But the texter said, for Lavelle, no chance, because nobody ever knows what's happening.
A true original.
Which I think is a good compliment.
That is.
And
that's
also
true.
part of the reason why we have Wobble Bingo.
Yeah, that's got a lot to do with it. There's no question about that. Good stuff from Billy Guerin. If you missed that was between 3:30 and about 4:05. Covered a lot of ground with him. Russo, a very passionate Russo at 5 o'clock. I got a kick out of one of the tweets in reaction to the Russo appearance. Let me see if I can find it. Thank you, Russo Hockey, for your common sense analysis this afternoon. Barrero tried to bait you into bashing the POTUS as usual. Common sense prevails. And I had to say gently that, in fact, I didn't have to bait Russo Hockey into anything regarding the president. In fact, he brought up the belief that there was every reason to be bothered by the Trump joke. The pushback from Russo had more to do with the criticism aimed at the players on the basis of their nervous laughter to the sophomoric misogynist joke that he made. But that falls into the classification of you hear, I guess, what you want to hear.
Exactly what I was going to say.
It's just uncanny.
You hear what you want to hear.
The whole discussion, and we were pretty much, this was my point again yesterday, Russo and I pretty much on the same page, had more to do with the players than it did in any way, shape, or form trying to defend the president. Oh.
Hang on a second.
Speaking of that, breaking news?
Getting the band back together for your Minnesota Timberwolves.
Uh-oh.
Not Karl Anthony Towns.
Oh. He's worth a segment tomorrow, by the way.
Cat, I know.
The stuff on Karl Anthony Towns is effectively buried in New York. But anyway, go ahead.
Your guy, Slow-Mo.
Slow-Mo's back?
Kyle Anderson has agreed to a contract buyout with the Grizz and plans to sign with the Minnesota Timberwolves after clearing waivers. This is a shams bomb. It was, I'm sure Johnny confirmed it as well. I just saw it on Twitter from Chris Hine, Star Tribune. And so he is coming back. Slow-Mo, the ultimate.
Has he played much this year? I don't even know.
He played a little and then didn't, but I don't know for sure.
Okay.
But he's the ultimate Finchy security blanket, is he not? He loves.
Yeah, he has been.
He loves Kyle.
The question is always, at some point, you're just not as effective a player. I was still hoping, so that's our last spot. So that pretty much means there are several scorers that allegedly might be available. We're not going to get any of those. Because this is, I think we had one spot open.
You're right.
So unless there's something else we can do later, that might be the extent of it. I was actually hoping we could get another player who could score a few. But, we all love Slow-Mo. I just don't know at this point what he has left.
I'll give you a couple of mid-rangers. I'll give you a couple of middies.
You know what? I'll save what I was going to go to because it's already 9 after. We did talk extensively about a very difficult subject, the subject of suicide, and it came up because we're still bouncing off of the tragic news regarding Vikings receiver Rondell Moore. He had a 1-year contract with the team a year ago, one of those kind of a make-good deals, and he immediately got hurt in the first preseason game on a kickoff return and had still been rehabbing. And so we opened up the door to that subject through that story, and frankly, a couple of others as well that are dealing with the same issue. Catherine Short, Martin Short's daughter at the age of 42. And I had gotten a text over the weekend from an individual telling a story about a friend. And we had a lot of good texts that came in on the difficulty of the subject. And one of the things I was curious about was the aftermath, the trauma for relatives, for mothers, mothers, fathers, etc. And it can go the other way. I guess it can be your father. It can be your mother as well. The people who are left behind in a situation like that, how do you cope with that? How do you do you have to compartmentalize it? Do you have to sort of constantly have it over your shoulder? And how do you go about the business of going on with your lives? And we got a lot of good texts about that. In addition, we got this one. Social media adds to the complexity. Our youth are the most visible, least connected generation in history. Chronic isolation and unobtainable expectations make it more problematic than people realize. Thanks for giving us some time. You guys are the best. Dan, we lost my little brother and his girlfriend in a bad car wreck 5 years ago. The pain doesn't go away. You just get more used to it. Rest in peace. Josie and Remy, Joe from Bemidji. Now that I did bring up the subject of this loss of loved ones, relatives. There's another whole layer to it, obviously, when it involves suicide as well. Carl from Minneapolis writes, thanks for this conversation. My sister was found dead, buried under a pile of boxes in Milwaukee in 2008. Coroner never found a clear cause. She led a hard life, but the not knowing who left her there and how she died has haunted me and her children pretty much ever since. And A couple more. I helped coach a squirt hockey team. We were at an out-of-town tournament at a hotel. I was talking to one of the dads by the pool. The next day when he got home, he shot himself. I had a hard time with it because I had just spoken with him the day before, and he seemed fine to me. I was talking to one of the other dads, and he summarized it well. He said the blast radius of something like this is immeasurable, and that is a good way to put it. It's a tough way to put it, but it's a fair way to put it as well. Lost multiple friends young, one due to alcoholism, one to suicide. Hard to understand why anyone would do themselves harm. However, if you've never struggled with major depressive disorder, it is hard to understand why someone would harm themselves, and that's the issue. If you haven't struggled with that, it seems impossible. But if you have, or if you've been around people who have, I think it becomes, sadly, a lot more understandable, but still has to be very difficult. It's got to be there somewhere, lurking all the time. And I can't imagine the challenges of that, but obviously lots of people do it. And they figure out how to move on and still try to pay respect to those that they have lost as well. But that kind of loss has to be incalculable, and how you deal with it just adds to the tragedy of it and the challenges related to it as well. Let's wrap up the program. One more quick pause, and we'll remind you what we have coming up tonight on the Fan, and it might just be hockey related. Stay tuned.
Show Wrap is presented by American Pressure, commercial-grade pressure washer since 1975.
It's the Bumper to Bumper Show Wrap.
Is today the 26th?
Feb 26, 2026.
Okay. I am very dubious of this report, but I'll read it to you. This is via ProFootballTalk.com. Vikings executive VP Rob Brzezinski, who is handling the general manager duties for now, said earlier this week the team would explore all their options at quarterback. One of those options is Anthony Richardson. Cameron Wolf of NFL Media reports that the Vikings and Richardson have, quote, mutual interest.
Yeah, I did see this.
The Colts have given Richardson permission to seek a trade. I would be beyond gobsmacked, and I would be very negative on the notion of adding another young, still hasn't figured it out quarterback. Isn't one of those enough? Are you really going to bring in another one who largely represents the same thing and has frankly been even more injury prone than J.J. McCarthy? I mean, if you're going to have another guy, you got to have a guy who represents something different. Now, if you didn't have J.J., I'd say, okay, well then maybe you want one young guy that you think you can get something out of it.
Darnold.
And we know KOC loved him.
Yeah, he hugged him that one time.
And we're happy for the hug and all those things. But I would be we'll talk about it with Gessling tomorrow. I'd be very surprised.
I would,
given McCarthy is already here. That's too much of the same thing.
That's not what Dan Orlovsky was talking about today.
No, definitely
when
not.
he said this is what you need. We don't need another one, to use KOC's parlance, early in their quarterback journey.
Exactly.
We need someone further along in their quarterback journey, I think.
Yeah. Now, again, I mean, he thinks a lot of his quarterback, but maybe he said, no, this guy's different. This guy's different. Right. This guy's talent blows away JJ. I'm bored with JJ now. I would be. It's a good angle, and there is some connection in the past, and there's that beautiful. We're all about whether it's the hockey situation or this. If we got a picture or a video that shows what we think we want it to show, it'll get oxygen. It will get playing time. It will get plenty of attention. In this case, if that shot of him, I think he's hugging Richardson, isn't it? And he's like whispering in his ear.
Who didn't
because he's
play.
a quarterback whisperer.
Yes, who didn't play in the game that he's talking about. It was your guy, the old guy, wasn't it Flacco?
Joe Flacco.
And it was KOC consoling basically a benched Anthony Richardson.
True. Yeah.
And then afterwards saying, I loved him coming out. I got to work with him on the grass. And everybody's quarterback journey is different.
I think the words that he said to Richardson, he whispered to him, was ridiculous that they're playing Flacco ahead of you, son.
He's older than I am.
Love to have a chance to work with you. Right? You think that was it?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yes, we do know Kyle Anderson is back. We did report that. Guardsy even played the breaking news sounder last segment. It's the return of a very popular Timberwolves, Slow-Mo.
We're bringing all the old guys back, except Cat for now.
Cat might be available. Well, we're past the trade deadline, unfortunately.
But how many years does he have left on his Supermax? We could get him at a bargain in a few years.
Here's your Cat nugget that should lead to a larger discussion, maybe even as soon as tomorrow. He is averaging the fewest shots per game of his career, either this year or second. This is like second lowest. He is an afterthought. And look at his numbers.
They're not good.
He's still shooting over 50% from the floor.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. 40% from three and about 90% from the free throw line.
Sorry, KFAN.
But he can't get the ball. Now, some of that, you can argue, is on him. The old be assertive, be meaner. That was the big Shaq criticism of the other day on the formerly known as TNT broadcast, which was you're too nice, you got to get angrier, you got to demand the ball. And there's some truth to that, but if you have a point guard who loves to shoot, I don't know what your chances are to make that happen. So we'll explore that in more detail on tomorrow's broadcast. Also, I mentioned no picks tomorrow, right? There's really nothing to
I don't know what we would pick
to predict at this point. It's always good to catch up with Gerby, but then sometimes it's good to get a vacation from him too, don't you think?
I think it's good. A mutual uncoupling is good.
Yeah. I think that might make a lot of sense. So we got Wild tonight on the Fan. They're back against the Colorado Avalanche. What time's pregame?
I believe 8.
8 p.m. Central?
7:45 pregame, 8 o'clock puck drop.
8 o'clock puck drop. All the action right here on... I really do think that now that we're post-Olympics, it's time for Fallness to up the ante. It should be 30 minutes minimum, and it should be an hour post-game. Because now we're going for it. We're going after it.
That's a lot of fallness, though.
Yeah.
Trust me, we're going to get enough fallness during the playoffs, especially if they make a run.
That's not a bad point. And we'll find out tomorrow how much Kyle Anderson has played, because I have no idea. Memphis, is that where he was most recently?
Correct.
Well, it's got to be delightful for him.
Yes.
Right?
You would think.
I mean, he's back with a team that's got some relevance. Memphis is just a mess, right? They're unloading players. They got nothing to look forward to there. How old is... Slow-Mo's not as old as Conley, is he? He can't be.
No, he's not. I'll look it up.
Mid-30s, maybe? I want to say he might be mid-30s. But...
He's 32.
The charm of Slow-Mo is obviously the old, no matter how old and slow he looks, he still seems to find a way to be effective. Smart player, doesn't waste any, movement, just, point A to point. Well, actually, he does. He's very deliberate sometimes when he gets into that shooting motion.
Very deliberate. That's why they call him Slow-Mo.
That's why they call him Slow-Mo. That part of it is true.
He has not played in the last 3 games.
And to remind folks, Kawhi Leonard out for the Clippers, you said? Didn't
Correct.
you say there were 2 guys out?
John Collins was the other one.
Collins is out too, yeah. So, again, a terrific opportunity for your favorite basketball team. They did eke out a victory against Portland.
What do you mean?
Who was missing their best player. But, nevertheless, you could have a chance to maybe make some hay. And then you prepare for a showdown game against the hated Denver Nuggets, correct? MVP stuff's all in question because nobody's going to have the right number of games of the big names. More on that tomorrow at 3 o'clock.